What's going on in the San Diego real estate market in November of 2022? I'm Kyle Whissel with Whissel Realty Group, and today I want to help you understand what the heck is going on here in San Diego so that you can decide, does it make sense to buy, to sell, to rent, to invest? What the hell should I be doing in this market? Well, I'm going to share my 20 years of experience and what my econ degree tells me of what's happening in this market so you can make the right decision for you and for your future. So I'm going to shrink myself down. We're going to do this a little bit different today because I want to be able to really share some charts and some graphs to help you understand what's happening in the market today. So some of the things that we really like to focus on anytime we're looking at statistics is we want to look at what's really happening in the market today so that you can decide what's going to happen in the future. A lot of the data that the media reports is delayed, sometimes 3, 4, 5 months from what's actually happening because they're looking at closed data, which tends to lag a little bit behind what's happening today. So what we like to look at, just from basic economics, is supply and demand. So first thing we like to look at is number of new listings. How many homes came on the market for sale? And you'll see if we look at a year-over-year comparison, we've seen a 26% decrease in the number of homes for sale. But you're gonna say, well, that's interesting. Why is that? Well, the reason why is that a lot of people aren't selling right now. Big reason is mortgage interest rates have risen significantly. We saw rates early in the year down in the low 3s, sometimes even the high 2s. And now at the time of this recording, we have rates, we'll talk about this in a little bit. Rates dropped quite a bit in last week, but rates we've been seeing for the last couple months are in the high 6s, low 7s. So the problem is a lot of people are not selling because they don't want to sell and walk away from a rate in the 3s and then buy and walk into a rate in the 7s. That just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's very expensive when you have a gap like that. So a lot of people just haven't been selling. That's why we've seen a 26% decrease in supply. But then we can look at demand, right? How many homes went pending? That means how many homes were listed for sale and accepted an offer. They went pending, under contract, in escrow, a variety of different terms that can be used. When we look at those numbers year over year, what you'd expect, right? As rates have jumped so significantly, you saw that decrease 44%. So both numbers are down, but that demand number is down considerably more than that supply number. So that causes a few things to happen here. I'm gonna slide myself over to the side. And so what does that cause? Well, one, that causes the time it takes to sell a home, or what we refer to as days on market. That number's up 45.5% from the same time a year ago. And then let's look at the overall effect on supply. That number has jumped up 89% from the same time a year ago. So big change, right? There is a lot more supply of homes for sale. So those of you that were looking at homes 6 months ago, this is a far cry from what you were seeing. Now, when you go to look in a neighborhood, there's 5 or 6 homes for sale as opposed to one home with 5 or 6 offers on it. So things have changed quite a bit there. The other thing that I want to look at, and this is where data can be really telling, is closed sales. The media reports this number a lot. They look at the number of homes that have actually sold. And then the other number they look at a lot is median sales price. These are lagging indicators, so the data is a bit behind. But the media, right, this is where data can be manipulated a lot because the media could say, oh, median sales price, it's up 4% from a year ago. Now, that is true, right? They're not wrong, but here's what they're not telling you. Let's cruise up here. Let's look at this a little bit more in depth. I want to pull up the monthly charts. Now we can really get in here. So let's look at this median sales price number. We peaked out, we all kind of agree. We're looking at single family homes specifically. We peaked out in April. Median sales price in San Diego County at $1 million. But if we look here at October, that's down to 884. That's a decrease of about 12%. So the media, a lot of times, are going to report maybe the values are up 4% from a year ago, or maybe other realtors are bragging, oh, values aren't going down, they're up 4% from a year ago. True, but if we just go back 6 months and look at April to today, they're down like 12%. I've actually seen a 12% pullback from where we peaked out at in April. So I think that's really important to understand. And now also understand that this is talking about what homes closed at in October. Well, what stuff closed at in October probably went under contract in like August or September. And I'm shooting this video, and this is the most accurate data I have from my association of realtors, and I'm recording this in the middle of November. So just understand what I'm able to report looking at closed numbers is delayed 2, 3, 4 months from when these homes actually went under contract. So I believe we've actually slid further than 12%, if I had to say probably closer to 15% at this point. So it's real important to understand when looking at data to really know what we're looking at. When you take a look at closed numbers, you're looking at old data. So that's why we look at those new numbers that we showed you, which primarily are number of new homes on the market for sale, number of pending homes, homes that have gone off the market. We like to look at days on market, how long is it taking to sell, and the supply of homes for sale. All of those are telling us we got some room to go. We're not done going down here. We still got some room to go. But for the first time in a long time, we're seeing some light at the end of the tunnel. You probably have heard about this little thing called inflation, which is most commonly measured by what is known as CPI, Consumer Price Index. And so here's what happens. The report that came out at the beginning of November is for the numbers that happened in October. And for the first time, we saw a considerable drop in inflation. And so I want to help you just understand real quick why that is. So these are the last 12 months plus one. So the way this works is they look at each month, how much did inflation go up month over month? So from September of 21 to October of 21, it went up 0.9%. And then the next month, 0.7, 0.6, 0.6, 0.8, 1.2, 0.3, right? This is the monthly change. So the number that gets reported, which the number that's been reported lately has been in the 8s and 9s, is basically adding up the 12 months worth of change. Well, what this means is every time a new month gets reported, it replaces an old month. So here's why we saw inflation drop considerably with the most recent numbers. Well, the numbers that just got reported for October. If we look at last October, we had a 0.9 month over month increase. This October, a 0.4 month over month increase. So we just replaced a 0.9 with a 0.4. That dropped inflation by 0.5. If we look at next month, we're going to replace a 0.7 and then a 0.6, right? We're going to start replacing some really big numbers. Here's the numbers that we've had in the most recent months. So if we continue to have numbers, little numbers like this, replace big numbers like this, you're going to see inflation drop considerably, and mortgage rates follow inflation rate. So as inflation starts to pull back, I think you'll see inflation pull back 3 to 4% by the time we get to right here, which doesn't get us to the target. The Feds want to see us in the 2 to 3% range. That doesn't get us to 2 to 3%, but it gets us really close to it. So as you start to see inflation pull back more and more and more, you're going to see rates pull back more and more and more. Well, when rates pull back more and more and more, optimism starts to come back in the market. People who are thinking of selling, that didn't sell because it was too big of a jump in rates, they start getting back in the game. Buyers start getting back in the game. The market starts to pick up again. So at the end of the day, hopefully I didn't go too deep. Hopefully I didn't lose you, but hopefully you understand that there's some light at the end of the tunnel. I think things are going to really start to turn around. With rates here in Q4, we're going to start to see it happen. It's going to get a lot better in Q1 and Q2 of next year. And so as that starts to get better, people start getting back in the game. I think the market starts to turn around and flatten out in Q4, Q1, and I think we'll probably see some increase as we get into Q2 and Q3 of next year. So if you're thinking about buying, buy now. Seriously, buy now because there's not a lot of competition. There's a lot of inventory. You have a lot of choices. You can get the house you want, the neighborhood you want, the terms you want, the credits, all that stuff. You're going to take a crappy rate. Rates are still in the mid 6s right now. You're going to take a crappy rate, but there's going to be an opportunity to refinance in 6 or 12 months from now as rates get considerably lower. So that could be a really good opportunity because once the rates get lower, all the buyers are going to come back. It's going to be competitive again, and that's not a fun market to be in. So keep that in mind. And then if you're thinking about selling your home, depending on what you're going to do, right? There's not a right or wrong answer here. So if you're thinking about selling your home and you're getting out of town or something like that, sell, right? We know values are going to decline for the next 6 months or so. So get out now before the values decline further to minimize your losses. But if you're in a home and you love the home and you don't have somewhere else to go, you don't need to go somewhere else, just stay. Just hold on to the home. Don't sell. Unless you really need to go somewhere, I don't think it's the best market to sell in. But if you need to go or you're planning on going, then get out sooner rather than later. Don't wait because values are going to go down. So that's the advice I've got for you. I hope this was valuable. If you want to connect with our team, explore things a little further, we can sit down and do a strategy session for you, whether you're thinking about buying or selling, help you make the right decision for you and your family. Give us a call, shoot us a text at the number down below. We look forward to connecting with you again. Kyle Whissel, Whissel Realty Group. We'll talk to you soon.